And when I hit the escape key to close out the keyboard shortcut window, my video stopped recording. And this is about the fourth time I've had to go through this video because I didn't realize that that was what was making the recording stop. So this one gets split into two videos. Anyway, so Control P always takes us back to the matching pair, which we'll use this cat statement, which is kind of a long one. I'm going to use Control P to get me back and forth between the left one and the right one. Left one, right one. Which is very helpful when you have much longer statements. When we get into more complex plotting functions, the plotting function itself may be 10 lines long. Because instead of trying to have stuff off on the far right where I can't see it, well, after every comma, I'll hit enter and format it like this. R is going to process this exactly the same way. But you see how I've got my cursor up there. Because I've got my cursor sitting on an open parens, it's highlighting the closed parens for me. For all the stuff that it's doing with these parens, with this open and close concept, it's pretty dang important. Always having a matching pair is just critical in any programming language. Anyway, so we've got curly braces, which are the do this stuff part of a conditional, part of the if statement. Parens, which are either is the conditional part of a conditional statement or as a function, like cat. So I've got cat, the concatenate function, nested inside an if statement. When we put stuff inside stuff, the nesting phrase, I don't know if this is where the word actually comes from, but think of those Russian nesting dolls where you have a little doll inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll. There's a real name for those. I don't know what it is. The same kind of thing. We can nest stuff inside of stuff. So if we look at the cat function, I've got square brackets nested inside the cat function. Square brackets mean that we're dealing with an array or a data frame because, well, a data frame is basically just a special type of an array. Whenever we see square brackets, what we're doing is we're trying to go into a structure like an array or a matrix or a data frame. They're all basically interchangeable for the most part. And we're trying to get a single value or multiple values. We're trying to address things by telling it what numbers we're after. So like here, when we ran this, my selection is a number that bounces around. So we would read this as my colors of my selection. So if we look at my colors, that's a vector of from 1 to 4 of different words. This is going to give me my colors of 4 in here. And anytime we see these square brackets, it's always a matrix index. Now the same kind of thing, like if we had a data frame and we had done data frame of like my column name, that's a common way to get at data within R. Cool. I could also put square brackets on the end and say, give me the 5th entry in that column. Also possible. Or there's going to be things that we'll do in future videos where we drop the my column name and we do 5 comma, we'll say just something else. Where instead of giving it a direct variable, we're going to do some lookups. So whenever you see these square brackets, that's always saying we want to go look something up within another thing. So that's what our square brackets do. There's also quotes. Quotes is the key that's one to the left of the enter key. It's not the single apostrophe. It's the one with 2 of them. Typing apostrophe twice is not the same as typing quotes. Also sometimes called double quotes, depending on who you're talking to. These always have to come in pairs as well. So when we made the my color vector, and I said the red, blue, green, what we're doing is we're taking some characters and assembling them into what's called a string, which is a string of characters, meaning we've got a bunch of them strung together. And the quotes are used to note that or to denote that this is the start of a string, this is the end of a string. Now, in this case, we had my colors equal red, blue, green. Now, because I wanted things to work for you, I picked colors that R is going to recognize when we do our plots. If we had done my colors 4 equals squirrel, when we assign it here, that's fine because we're just dumping this into an array that isn't doing anything. When we went to the plot function, where the plot function looks up the current color, oops, right here. When plot looks up color equal my colors, it knows what red, blue, green are. It does not know what squirrel is. This is where it would fault. Even though right here everything was perfectly fine when our array had valid values like red, blue, green in it. When we put a value of squirrel in, then we faulted. Which means that the problem we're having may not actually be with this line itself when it faults. The problem will be that we poorly defined my colors 50 lines above. This kind of thing takes a little bit of skill and effort to learn how to debug quickly. And in future videos, I am going to make mistakes like that on purpose to show you how to debug them. But right now, I just wanted to show you that square brackets are for arrays, quotes are for colors, and always remember to use them in pairs.